What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I am back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left-hand side of the map in the blue color, playing as Zeus. His name is Rapl. His opponent today in not the blue color because he's in the red color. His name is Hell's Ravage. He's Odin, and well, it's just that time of the week, is it not, where we get together as a community and just pay homage to the generals of the olden times. Now, none of those words would make a lot of sense if you really think about them, so take them at face value. Anyways, Hell's Ravage here, going in with his Odin. We've seen a lot of very, very strong Odin being played in the past couple of weeks, months, years even, and this matchup, this Odin versus Zeus matchup, is one of those matchups which we have seen a lot of, and it just goes either way. We have no idea where it's really sitting at this point. We've got the Rapl doing his thing. He's starting off 4 villages on food, 2 villages on wood, 2 villages on gold. Now, this means one of two things. First thing is he could be just simply going for a 4-minute build. You don't really know exactly what's happening here. But he could be going for that 4-minute build and going for Athena, getting some very early aggression onto his opponent and getting that early advantage that way. The other thing he could be doing is, and we are seeing a 3rd villager coming up to the wood, is simply just putting the order of villages in a different way. Now, I do think that Zeus players against Odin need to be attempting, where possible, to advance as fast as possible. So if you get a map like this where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 caribou, 6 caribou equals 900 food. So if you have 900 food, you should be going for a 4-minute advance time to get as much value out of your early Jason, your early Odysseus, your early Centaurs, or Minotaur. So not seeing that here from Rapl. He's got that 3rd villager over onto wood. Now, if we jump over to Hell's Ravage's perspective over here, now he has not grabbed his early wood here. Now, this is more of a new thing, and I know that especially for those players who aren't like Odin mains or Norse mains, so you're not looking at you soups out there who have really been trying to level up their Norse, but the olden day Norse would not get this early ox cart, but just chop down the tundra trees. You lose out on a lot of resources every time they walk to and from this town center. You are losing out on resources. So we will see him get his ox cart now in order to make up for that. But generally speaking, the best way to go about this is to simply just use that initial ox cart to get the initial wood you need to advance to the 2nd age and live the dream from there. But Hells is going to be going for about a 24-minute 20 advance time. Just about. Kira is a harpist, and she says that there are next to no harpists in Perth. I could know her. I could, but I am a shit musician who only knows jazz play people. There is a band, it is a little shout out if you guys want to go look them up. I don't know if they even have a social media presence or not, but I think it's starts with it doesn't even matter. There is a band with a harp in it, and if that's that person, then maybe I do know said harpist, but who knows? It is a small world. Anyways, onwards and upwards, we've got Freya, and Rapl is going through Hermes, and he is going for those Centaur. So, Centaur against Odin. What should you prioritize? What should you prioritize? You should prioritize getting out your early Odysseus, your early Jason, and your 2nd Centaur. This is against Odin in particular, and potentially also against, if you advance fast enough, against the Uranos players. But the idea is that you do not need Sylvan Lore straight away in this matchup. You just want to get that immediate 2nd Centaur. We just see an immediate forest fire getting cast here by Hells, and Rappel's already set up his 2nd mining camp at the top. So it's just a little bit of idle time on these villages. 50 wood worth of damage, and losing that tree there is what it is. Alrighty. So Hells, he's getting himself his double longhouse, making those Herser. He's already got his walls set up. So generally speaking, the unit composition to go against the Hermes of Zeus is going to be Herser throwing axemen. And the reason for this is the Herser come out fairly consistently well, and the throwing axemen deal with the hoplites very well of the Zeus player. So if you can get out enough units fast enough, the amount of pressure that a hoplite centaur can do becomes a little bit less, as we do see the bolt also being used. No villagers falling here for Rapl, and the entirety of the early game from Hells has come to a grinding halt as the centaur are coming out. And I do like that we've gone immediately into 2 centaurs here. We were talking about that earlier. I've seen Sylvan Law getting rushed here by the Zeus players, and I do think it's a big mistake. So we've actually already seen not only rushing the second centaur, but also getting the military academy out before Sylvan Law. And now Sylvan Law is coming in, and we will be seeing an attempt at a little bit of harass here. There's no way through this side of the base just yet, as Hells has managed to make this very, very nice and defensive. And Rapl is going to be looking for something to attack here, but look at how defensive Hell's Ravager's base is right now. He's got the caribou in his base. He's got the wood over here, and I love this. We see 2 villagers getting taken off the wood from Hell's Ravage. However, we see raiding cavalry getting built here, so I'm not exactly sure what the plan is here from Hell's going raiding cavalry Herser against the hoplite centaur of Rapl. He might find himself in a little bit of a predicament, but at this point, Elza's got a ton of units. He is trying to surround Rapl's heroes here as they're trying to get away, and we will be seeing first blood getting drawn, it seems, as they're trying to run away. Hells is actually running straight into a whole bunch of hoplites right now, and with the centaurs returning in, this is going to be maybe some dead units, but they are kind of still all alive. We do see the Herser turning around, getting some big thwacks down onto those centaur. They are going to live, but they are bruised. So 53 population to Hells' 65, so a slight advantage there. However, Centaur and are very, very strong. You can see how good the macro right now of Rapl is. Very low resources, moving around the map onto second hunt. In the early stages of the game, this is when you want to be eating your forward hunt, but this is not exactly an early stage of the game. It's about 7 minutes, and I do use this as a bit of a timer in my brain as to when raids generally start happening here. If my opponent's going for the raiding cavalry, it's about 7 minutes in, and Hells gets very lucky, but spots those villagers, gets a couple of villager picks here, and then will retreat away, loses 1 raiding cavalry, maybe 2, but does get out of here. Very, very happy with that trade, getting 2 villager kills as Rapl comes in, and he might even lose another villager to the wolf. Not just yet. He will eat that wolf and be happy about it. But Hells gets a couple of kick picks and is going to leave. So the big problem that is going to be arising right now for Hells is where to next. So, 1, I don't think he's got husbandry just yet. So he needs husbandry. He does have himself 12 goats here. So really, at this stage, because of how defensive Hells' base is here, what he can do is chuck everything onto these pigs, stop building units, and then go to the heroic age and be completely fine and safe to do that. Put some wall segments around these towers, be nice and defensive with it, keep the raids going with the raiding cavalry, but we will be seeing a little bit of harass here from Rapl, sniping a couple of these raiding cavalry. Very, very smart to do this. If you can't raid your opponent's villages, raid the military with those centaurs. Those centaurs want to be getting that special ability off every 20 seconds as fast as they possibly can, as we are seeing Hells coming in with his Herser, going straight after those centaur pole marks in the back, getting some of those raiding cavalry on there as well. There's really not too many units here for Rapl, but the centaur are going to be doing absolute work with the help of the Odysseus, of the Jason, and it's looking like Rapl's micro pretty good here, but it's seeming as if he's going to be losing a couple of these centaur in the end, and Hells drops down to 74 pop. Rapl's at 66, still seemingly ending up in a very similar position here, as some throwing axemen are now coming in to try and deal with those hoplites. As the centaur does fall, there's only 2 centaurs remaining, and this forces a ceasefire here. I'm pretty sure that was a maybe clicked a little bit early here from Rapl. I'm not sure he really needed to do that. 67 pop to 78 pop, still very close, but he is a little bit concerned. Definitely wants to keep eating his aurochs and being okay. And such is life. So, Hell's still building these raiding cavalry, trying to make some throwing axemen here. He has run out of his gold mine. He's not gone to the second age. So this prolonged fight that's going to be happening here goes very, very heavily into the Zeus favor if the Odin player does not hit the heroic age here. So he's not done that, and now we see the Centaur going to be able to hit some of these more open raids, getting a little bit more value out of picking off some gatherers here. These raiding cavalry here do not have thundering hooves just yet, so they can't chase down the Centaur as easy as they might like. Rapl, on the other hand, he's got a whole bunch of these hoplites just waiting on his only really exposed resource. We see the Katoskopos over here checking out the gold mine. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of an attempted raid here from Rapl, sending in one Centaur or a couple of hoplites. Hoplites are indeed moving out, and now what Rappl's going to try is maybe moving and hitting two locations at the same time. Hoplites move in, Centaur move in at the same time, but Hell's has got quite a magnificent force right now. A lot of those raiding cavalry are out. He spots the hoplites moving in. The throwing axemen are coming through to wall this off, and these raiding cavalry might be able to cut off the hoplites as they're trying to retreat away. They have managed to get in past the forest and block off any sort of retreat or any sort of blockage path. They've managed to get into that safety there, as Hell's now returning back onto those villages, pushes them off the hunt for just a little bit before returning back home. Where has Rapl moved his Centaur to? They're still looking to move in here and get a couple of picks. There are 3 Herso just waiting on this location. The Centaur not being allowed in here just yet, as the Herso just wandering up here, and then Rapl gets out, no problems. So Hell's here, full population, doing okay. The dwarves popping all that gold in. Do we have an armory up? No armory just yet. Actually, it's started being built, but has been forgotten about. Big mistake here from Hells, because he's going to hit that 800 food very, very quickly. Whereas Rapl, on the other hand, I'm actually surprised at how high his population is right now. Generally speaking, you fall behind pretty quickly as Greek, but Rappel's managed to keep his economy pumping. He has run out of his gold mine, or just about. No, he's not. He's got 1,200 gold left in his home gold mine, so there's plenty of gold there. So he will be able to get to the heroic age himself here. I'd love to see him go through Apollo. It is very, very strong. We just see these raiding cavalry coming through as Hells is trying to force fights in the classical age over and over again. The hoplites very nicely fighting in this location. Lots of idle units. You got to be very careful with your raiding cavalry. Make sure they're dealing DPS for as much of this fight as you possibly can. The Herso are coming around, swinging in, hitting these Centaur. Rapl trying to micro to the best of his ability, but they are losing their lives as this fight is continuing. The medium hoplites doing as best as they can. Rapl 80 population, 95 population for Hell's Ravage right now, as it's looking as if he's able to push in here and take this fight fairly handedly here. There is the defender's advantage for Rapl, but it's not seeming to be, or maybe it is seeming to be enough, as a lot of the units have fallen, and now Hell's 80 population, Rapl 80 population. So Rapl actually coming out in front here, seemingly, as those Centaur distract mightily well, and Hells is pushed back yet again. Immediately we see the Centaurs of Rapl making their way up onto this gold mine. There is a Herso already in here, so it's probably not going to be too many villager kills. Rapl immediately retreats away, doesn't want to lose his Centaur that easily. More of those hoplites are coming out. We do have no real villagers on hunt at this point, as the herdables are about to be finished up here. So moving forward onto this food, if he can secure it, is really, really good, because that way he gets all the food he needs to get into the next age. But if he has to farm here, it's generally better to think about getting that second town center. As we see the raiders coming in, Hells, he's probably still got a ton of food left. He's eating food over here, but Hell's very scared to take these fights right now. Those Centaur in the back are doing mightily fine work. We do have Thundering Hooves in now for Hells, so those Centaur cannot run away too easily from them. And it's actually a really, really good idea to combine the Herso moving in plus the raiding cavalry onto those Centaur. This fight is continuing. The throwing axemen doing as much damage as they possibly can, but I love the Jason going after these throwing axemen. and they do have 30% hack armor, but Jason doesn't care. He's going to tank so much damage from these throwing axemen while the hoplites get so much damage done onto those raiding cavalry. And now Hells is in a really, really difficult position. Rapl 90 population here as well. He's going to swing over here onto this gold mine. How much gold does Hells have in the bag? He does have 500 gold in the bag. He's going to get pushed off of his food over here. He's going to get pushed off of this gold mine potentially as well. There's no goats remaining, no wood in the bag, no farms remaining. So essentially here, Hells needs to somehow fight back and push away Rapl's forward movements here, as he is moving in 107 pop, ready to go, leaving the system of the bastard for this entirety of this game, as the village is there from Hells looking to get back onto that hunt, but being denied. The army of Hells pushing back into make Rapl retreat. Rapl not wanting to fight this, even though he probably does win this fight here quite handily, especially if he snipes some units with those Toxotes. The Centaur returning back into the fray here. Do we have an armory up for Rapl? We do not, but he could cancel one of those Centaur and get it up. See him rebuilding these storehouses. A little bit of an interesting storehouse rebuild here, considering this wood is mostly finished. We want to move over onto this tree line. Would be a little bit better. As we see Rapl still trying to push in, the Herser in the back here, getting kited around very, very nicely. Going to snipe that one off. The Centaur fairly alive in the back, and it's seeming like Rapl still not happy with these fights. He has decided that he should turn around here, and it's not wrong. He does win this fight as long as his Centaur are in the back and can navigate around those Herser, but the Herser all moving in, trying to snipe those Centaur off. The throwing axemen directly dealing with the hoplites, but the hoplites are fairly tanky here anyways, as the final Centaur getting sniped down as well. Nice path blocking there, maybe even unintentionally from Hells, as he's now getting some of those dwarves into the fray, going to be helping push Rapl out of this position, keeping Hells alive. Hells is 87 population right now. Rapl is 96 population, as these fights are continuing to go in Rapl's favor. This is what happens if you try to continuously fight a Zeus player in the classical age. We are seeing a slight retreat here from Rapl, but he can keep fighting this, sniping off that final throwing axeman, Herser there with his Toxotes before going on to the throwing axeman with his Centaur. It's a very, very smart idea. Hells retreating back. Right now, he's really out of food. He is indeed out of food. The farms are starting, but without access to winter harvest and no more food really on the map. He could move up to the top side of the map here, go after these Aurochs, go after these Aurochs in the corner. There's always kind of Aurochs in the corner of the map on Tundra. But it is very, very open, and those Centaur could potentially find them. But I feel like Rapl hasn't scouted it. He doesn't scout it, so he doesn't know, and he probably wouldn't check up there too much of the time. So we are seeing the armory is up. Rapl about to click up to the next age. This is very, very good. He's going to be able to go very quickly through to Hephaestus, very quickly through Apollo here, get an underworld somewhere. Very, very strong idea. And then it's probably too late for a very useful Hera, though this is a bit of a strange game, so maybe it's going to be fun. We are seeing Dionysus here from Rapl. I don't necessarily like the Dionysus, especially this late. If you go for more of a timing push with bronze, it can be good, but I don't like this one in this matchup. He's just not making cavalry. He's really going Dionysus simply just for bronze, and bronze isn't that good. Especially when you have access to the underworld, needing to move from one gold mine over here or two gold mines over here to this gold mine here. This is a win condition for Rapl, is controlling this, because you know that this gold mine is about to expire. So if we sit here and we put an underworld over the top side, you can jump around there and completely stop all of that from happening. Hells has kind of been forced into getting this second town center, delayed second town center here. But it's going to be fine. Well, it should be good for him to get this, because he basically has to, because he can't get to the next age, and there's a ton of throwing axemen now, so they're going to be able to deal very nicely with the army that Rapl has assembled at this point. As we see the throwing axemen moving forward, there's the Dionysus through for for Rapl. He does not have his second town center. I imagine Rapl is going to attempt to go. No, he's got his own second town center. He's going 3 town centers. This is a very, very strange decision here from Rapl. Very, very late 3 town centers. This is going to give Hells a very big opportunity to hit a lot of raids. So it's a dangerous play. It will work for him if he can deny all the raids. But Rapl, he doesn't have those speedy units. He's going to actually have to make some prodromus here if he wants to keep his villagers alive and get value out of this 3rd town center. Generally speaking, I think you should probably just go to the Mythic Age here if you're 1 town center and you get to the Heroic Age, because then you get access to the Plentyful, you get access to that Bellerophon, and live the dream there in that Mythic Age. But right now, Hells is all over Rapl's economy, and this is exactly what he needs to do. We do see a stray military academy up on this position while there's so many villagers over here on this gold mine. Raple just needs to move up there. He just needs to move up to this gold mine, but he is not going there quickly at all. Instead, he's retreating back to his base to try and deal with these raiding cavalry that are causing an absolute mayhem on Rapl's economy. These villagers trying to retreat away, but the raiding cavalry, they're just so quick. 6.6 speed against the 3.8 speed of those villagers. We do see a Hydra coming in here, as we are now starting to see the villager checking out this gold mine. The army of Rapl going to be making their way over here to push off of this gold mine, but Hells right now is already over. He's got a whole bunch of those throwing axemen. He could start thinking about some towers up here, or even just a whole bunch more military buildings. The farm's starting to come in. We do see some centaur raids coming in to hit Hell's villages as they're retreating away here. The villagers jumping in and out of that town center, keeping themselves alive as Rapl's economy is completely fine here. He's got so much gold in the bank. He does not have irrigation. He's got his farms starting to come out. They are they're positioned okay, but you know, they're still like a little bit funnily positioned. It is worth it to take that little bit extra time just to make sure your farms are positioned correctly, because it's just they're going to be getting gathered from for the entirety of the game. So do you see Hells pulling back here as these Toxotes very smartly coming in, sniping in. His 15 range against 10 range is huge. And Hells knows that, so he can't really fight back just yet. This is exactly what the Toxotes are built for in this matchup against those throwing axemen. You just move in, you snipe off a couple of units, you pull back, you snipe off a couple of units, you pull back, and you get your advantage that way. But right now, Hells has managed to click up through Skadi. Now, you might be like, there's 1,000 point score difference right now. Well, that's not that big of a deal if you can get that frost down, because you can pick up an entire army and live the dream there. Tyr can level the playing field as well. We do see the bronze getting cast here from the Rapl, as he's also got this 2-headed Hydra coming in here. It's going to be doing absolute work to the enemy units. There's no Herser here for Hells at all. And look at that damage there from the Hydra, nearly one-hitting the throwing axeman as it is retreating away. We do see the villagers of Hells making a cheeky escape up to the top corner of the map. He will find some Aurochs up here. Hells does have 700 gold in the bank. Because Hells has managed to get through to the Heroic Age, he will not necessarily need to be gathering gold here. He needs to get the wood, he needs to get a market up, and he can just buy food for a little bit, or sell food, sorry, buy gold, sell food, sell wood for just a little bit until he gets the units he needs to stay alive here. We see the Frost Giant coming in for Hells as well. He's going to be able to make a whole bunch of those. As we do see the villagers, they have spotted this gold mine here, so he could come onto this one as the villagers just walking straight past. He's deciding to go elsewhere. This is a little bit overzealous. I thought maybe this gold mine would be as safe as any other one, but maybe he thinks he can find himself a secondary gold mine over here, and he will return back up to here. We'll see how fast Rapl's spidey senses do tingle here as the Hydra comes in. Big frost getting thrown down onto this, hitting a couple of the villagers. 6 villagers over here, 7 villagers frosted, 8 villagers frosted, and Hells is going to be able to pick off a whole bunch of these units here and have a very, very nice time. Unfortunately, he hasn't actually managed to frost everything, so we do see a whole bunch of Rapilian units coming in, especially those of Paspis, but they're going to get picked off very quickly against those throwing axemen, if the throwing axemen have any micro at all here in this situation. We just see the units retreating away for Rapl as he decides he can't really take that fight. No hill fort down just yet for Hells is actually a really big problem, because he can't get those Apaspis that he needs. But we'll see how he's going to go. The army kind of retreating back as Heracles coming in here. And as we see, look at how much this Heracles tanks. He is an absolute monster at tanking, but that's about it. And Rapl still pushing forward. We do see that big frost there from the Frost Giant special ability, taking out that Hydra. Nice play from Hells to be aware of the high value you get out of the Frost Giant. We are still seeing these Toxotes focus firing the throwing axemen in the back. You can see he's got the heavy Toxotes as well, so they're doing tons of damage here. The armory upgrades are non-existent for both players. Oftentimes we see this as the players prefer to spend their resources on economy, on villages, and on army rather than the tech of the armory, saving that for the later stages of the game, especially if you get things like Hephaestus with Forge of Olympus. So we'll see if that's what Rapl's going to do. He does have his market up. How is his economic upgrades looking? Still no extra upgrades there. Only pickaxe and hand axe. We check out Hells on the other hand. Hells has only got pickaxe, no hand axe. He does have plow. Missing out on hand axe for the Norse. From memory, isn't that big of a deal. I think it's only 7.5, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I don't know. I can't remember. One of the technologies for the Norse isn't very good, and I have an inkling that it's the hand axe. So if you're going to get the upgrades, you go hand axe and then immediate bowsaw a lot of the time for the ultimate value or return on investment, I would say. Now you see Hells. He should be continuing to hit these raids because he got the Thundering Hooves upgrade for those raiding cavalry, and there's no walls up just yet for Rapl. He's spread out all over the map, and Hells has got no real idea that he's spread out all over the map, but he is going to be looking for those raids now. He's got 10 raiding cavalry looking for that, and honestly, Hells is just playing with fire right now as Rapl. He doesn't know that there's anything up here. He doesn't know that there's no villages on this gold mine. He sees a couple of villages here. He's going to be happy to see that, but he's going to think, oh, where's all the rest of the villages? We do see these raiding cavalry now going to be hitting the villages onto this line here. The hoplites running in. They are heavy at this point. Going to be able to get a lot of damage returned onto these raiding cavalry, but Hells can simply just retreat away once the units come in. Abuse that speed nicely. 6.6 speed, as we've said, is huge compared to even the speedy Zeus infantry. 4.7 is not enough. As we see even more villagers getting sniped down here. Rapl is going through Hera. Super late Hera. I mean, it's not like it's a bad idea. It's just not as helpful as the Hephaestus here, I would say, especially because you've got the access to Forge of Olympus, which really propels you in front of your opponent. But we'll see how he's going to go with this Hera. He doesn't know where to hit. I mean, if you need to hit a timing or something, not a timing at this point because it's too late to be called a timing, but if you need to hit an attack somewhere to try and push you off the resources, you can do that. As we do see the Toxotes coming in here, going to snipe off a villager or two at the cost of a Toxote or 3. This guy's still bronzed. Well, he does have his bronze armor still. Look at him go. I think that happens sometimes if it gets frozen. Frosted after being frozen. I don't know. I don't know when it happens. Doesn't really matter. It'll die pretty quickly nonetheless. As we see Rapl moving back in, ready to cast that lightning storm on this position, but there is a hill fort here, so it's not going to be all that useful. He's throwing Axeman doing a lot of damage, but there are too many units in here for Rapl. He's 154 of 160 population. We see the lightning storm onto this position, going to be picking off a whole bunch of those villagers here. The villagers try and make a dart for that hill fort, as the rest of the units here for Hells do end up plummeting. We do see 100 population remaining. Hells has got 2 portable rams in this hill fort as well for some reason, as we do see all those units starting to attack this hill fort. It's going to go down very fast to the Zeus infantry. And what can Hells really do right now? He's getting villages. He is going through Balder. So there's going to be a huge Ragnarok here for Hell's Ravage as the villagers are retreating back, and 160 population for Rapl. Hells is going to wait just a little bit. No, he's not. He goes up to 238 population with nothing in the bank. No, next to no armory upgrades. He does get the Fire Giant. He does get the Frost Giant, and he is moving his units through to try and pick off this Greek army that is trying to make a run for it. The Fire Giant using that special ability there to get a whole bunch of damage done onto those Toxotes. We do see the Medusa coming in, get to snipe down one of those Frost Giants. Nice play there from Rapl to use one of the big advantages that he does have. The Heroes of Ragnarok coming straight in onto these villages, taking down a whole bunch of Rappel's gold economy. Rapl is kind of all over the map right now with the villages on a lot of the different gold mines over here as well. But that is absolutely huge from Hells to get that pick. But while this is all going on, these heroes of Ragnarok just are not dealing with the Greek army very nicely at all. These top lights are champion. He's got champion Hypaspist here as well. The Medusa gets frozen, but not before the fire giant loses his life. So it's seemingly looking like Hells is losing all of his heroes of Ragnarok, while the Ragnarok here is trying to push around everywhere. We do have a couple of those portable ramps going after some buildings here, as we see the Ragnarok here is going after this fortified town center. He does have masons. Doesn't look like Rapl has got himself architects or thinking about getting it, but he is trying to build this one up. We do see the Hypaspist dealing with the hero of Ragnarok here. Super value from Rapl to deal with that, as we see the town center going down very, very fast, but Hells is got very little population remaining. 130 or 130 after the Rag versus 160 pop that Rapl's got. The Hypaspist too strong. There's no raiding cavalry here to deal with them, and in that moment, Hells does decide to tap out. GG. Well played by Rapl, managing to make this one work. Some very unorthodox, I would say, unmeta play from both players here in this game. We saw Hells trying to force the issue a lot in the classical age, where the Zeus player has the advantage. And then after that, we saw a Dionysus attempt here from Rapl, trying to push off a gold mine or trying to get some value with bronze, and then also going through Hera very late in the game, managing to actually make that work somewhat well. And in the end here, it seems as if it just was a little bit too far behind for Hells to make the Ragnarok get any value, and it just gets completely dismantled, and Rapl gets the win with Zeus on Tundra. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.